Well, welcome back to Dunkirk Dunes. A while ago, Moffett Field asked if I would do a video on my Soviet painted pieces, which I've just finally barely finished. And I've been itching to do this for a long time, to kind of show some of these off. And I have to say that I've been inspired particularly by Detroit, just because he's kind of the first one that I saw. But of course, the work like what Moffett Field has done, I mean, his pieces are incredible. There are others out there too. I just love seeing painted pieces in the community. And so, anyway, of course, I thought it would be fun to do a video on mine now that I'm finally done. But maybe I'll do just a quick kind of pan across what we've got here, so you can see infantry, artillery, tanks, anti-aircraft guns, cavalry for the BBR if Mongolia gets turned, and then some navy, and I'll go through each one of these. Some carriers. You never see a Soviet carrier, a Soviet battleship back there. And then here's a whole bunch more tanks and a whole bunch of mechanized infantry, and two different kinds here of mechanized infantry. I'm going to go through them. And then you see all the Soviet Air Force back there. Fighters, tactical bombers, and strategic bombers. Maybe we'll just go through these one by one. But so if we just start with infantry, I mean, I did kind of a whole set of 40 infantry, and there you can kind of see them. I don't know if I can get them to focus any better than that. That's probably as good as we're gonna get. I also did kind of some snow version for, I like to put them up in Siberia. All of the bases here is the colonial red color that Sired Blood uses on his BBR pieces. So here's cavalry. Let's see if I can get that to focus better. Anyway, of course the infantry are just out of box. The cavalry I got from HGB, or HBG, get those letters mixed up sometimes. I've got two different types of artillery here. I had a set that came out of Europe First Edition. That's kind of what's there in the foreground. But the ones that I like better are, of course, these ones. These are what you get in the Europe Second Edition, and they're just kind of shades of red and brown. It's hard to get in close and get that to focus as well. Have to pull it back a little bit. I really like how the anti-aircraft guns turned out. I'm really happy with them. I wish I could get them to focus up close better, but kind of get an idea there. As far as tanks goes, maybe let's do the mechanized infantry. So I did not do any out-of-box mechanized infantry. I swapped all of my out-of-box ones for some that I found at HGB. And I've got kind of two different varieties here, kind of the open bed variety and the kind of covered truck kind of variety. I wish I could get that to focus better up close, but kind of is what it is. There, that's better. I have so many of these too. I mean, of course, you're never going to use that many mechanized infantry. But, you know, they were inexpensive. They were the off color at Historical Board Gaming. And so I just bought a bunch of them, and painted them up. Again, the red color is just the colonial red, and then I just used I mean, these are just craft paints. I mean, this is kind of the same as what Detroit kind of has taught on his videos. I just have soaked up as much of that type of stuff as I can. Then these are historical board gaming tanks. These are, I believe, T-38s. And I did just paint them in kind of a two-tone red. And I can show you, one of the colors is the colonial red. There's another color that I used with it to kind of get a two-tone look to it. The decals, of course, you can get great decals from historical board gaming, but there's other places too that you can get them. And I could show you. Here, let me pause this. I'll show you some of the decals I've been using. Okay, so lots of different decal options, and here's, some of these I got from HGB. I've gotten some of them from other places. I can't necessarily remember everywhere. I think some of them are Custom Combat Miniatures. One of them, I think, was an outfit on eBay. But lots of options there. And on the tanks, because they were already red, I actually used these US stars. That I think I got these from historical board gaming, but you can see there they're made by Custom Combat Miniatures, I believe. Anyway, I was using white stars on these particular red tanks just because I think there's better contrast, since I had decided to paint them red. So, and beyond and I'll save the green tanks for last. Those are my favorite pieces that I did. But here's the Soviet Air Force, and these are just out-of-box strategic bombers, tactical bombers, and fighters that you're looking at here. Hopefully I can get them to focus decently. The decals are fun. It's definitely fun to put the decals on them, and I think I like the way they turned out generally. So let's go Soviet Navy. So you never see. So these are just, and I think all of these Soviet Navy pieces that I have, these are all just out of box. And again, a lot of these I started with kind of a two-tone of the red. One of the reds being the colonial red spray paint that Sired Blood had used. These carriers, I put some fighters on them. The stickers, those are not decals. The flight decks, they're stickers. But let me see if I could get that to focus any better. I don't know that I can. Anyway, those flight decks are actually stickers that Sired Blood created, and I just printed those out and kind of cut them to the right shape, and so that they kind of have a dirty look. Because when you first put them on, they're really clean. They don't, they kind of stand out. But I just put some black wash over it and kind of dirtied it up. I liked how that turned out. So, a couple of Soviet cruisers. There's 4 Soviet destroyers and some Soviet subs. And Soviet transports. I like how the transports turned out. I wish I could get that to focus better on them, but not going to be, I think. Anyway, so those are fun. And so the last thing here are these tanks, and these are from GHQ. And I these ones here in the I'm showing you right now, this is kind of the first batch that I did, and you learn something as you go along. But the ones in the front here, I believe these are T3476s, and some of the detail got lost as I painted these, but they're still really nice. I think they turned out really nice. And these in the back with the longer barrels, these are T3485s, I believe. And I didn't even notice of the T3476s, but I didn't notice when I got them, but as I started painting them, I realized there's actually two different versions here. I've got 3 of one type and 2 of another type, and you can't see too well in there, but the tread, tank pattern is different. This particular one doesn't seem to have any kind of spoke type structures in the treads, whereas this one, see if I can get that to show better, does. I don't know if I'm going to get that to show clearly. Anyway, maybe you can see it now. And there's some differences too on kind of the top of the tank, and so I kind of painted those a little differently to bring that out. But my favorite ones, and these are the last ones that I did, and I think I've learned a lot along the way, is these ones here in the back. These are also a particular model of T34s. And, as Detroit's mentioned, one of the things you have to be careful of with the GHQ models is they are metal. You kind of see them under there, but they are metal. But the tank barrels are really fragile. They'll bend. And so that's why when I kind of picked my latest ones, I picked short barrel tanks because I thought they may be less likely to get bent or whatnot. So anyway, there's those. I really like how they came out, and the way I was able to kind of paint up the fuel tanks, kind of be a fun different color. And I mean, I did these kind of as Detroit, as I kind of learned from him, that you put down you prime it, you put down a base color, and then you can kind of work on that base color to get it what you want. I start out with spray paints for the primer and a base color that's kind of close to what I want, and then I actually just started doing somewhat of a heavy dry brush to get the real kind of color that I wanted, and then I applied a wash or a shade, and then a light dry brush over that to get some of the detail. And I can't get it to focus very well, but to get some of those details to kind of highlight out. The group of tanks here up front, I believe these are KV1s, and I really like how these turned out. Again, they're metal. See, I wish I could get that to focus better than it does, but I think you get the idea. These are a lot of fun. Really enjoy them. So anyway, that is that's the Soviet pieces, and kind of on the next group. I mean, I've got I'll just show you again everything here, and then I'll kind of show you what I'm working on next. Looks like one of the transports got sunk, capsized. So I'm going to sell some of the extras. I mean, I think I'll sell the red tanks, and I'll sell a bunch of the mechanized infantry, and I certainly don't need that many planes. And I think I'll sell the first edition artillery, but definitely use the infantry there. Let me just show you some of, so here's the colors that I used to get the two-tone red. I mean, this is kind of the sired blood. This is his colonial red. You know, I used that. And then to get a two-tone, I used this claret wine color. And I really just, Detroit has a video about this too, but using modeling clay to kind of cover up part of the base color, you know, which was the colonial red, and then, but you can do them in any order you want. Just use some modeling clay to kind of mask some parts and spray over it with another color, and you can get a kind of a cool pattern that way. Anyway, that's how I did those. And here's, you know, for the Soviet infantry, just their kind of green uniforms, I believe I was using, I mean, these are just, you know, these are $1 or $2 a bottle at Hobby Lobby or Michael's. But I think these are the colors I was using, if I remember right. A Hauser medium green and a avocado green. I got an army painter, I think it is, set of shades, and I've just kind of been playing with those, and it's fun to experiment, you know, to try some of these different ones. And also, I've got a few, I think is it Games Workshop? Anyway, yeah, I think it's Games Workshop Citadel paints, and really mostly what I have from them are shades. You know, here's the shades that I have from them. They're a bunch of different colors there in the back, but you can see all the dollar store paint colors. I mean, it's fun to just go down and pick some colors and try some stuff out, you know. This Minwax Polywax Honey Satin, this is what Sired Blood uses to kind of weather and age his BBR pieces, and G.I. Joe has a great video on how to do that and the colors that Sired Blood used. Go find that. That's definitely worth seeing. And this looks great, and that's actually what I ended up doing on my Soviet pieces. The thing to be aware of with this Minwax stuff is it is oil-based. It's not water-based. And to make it easier to work with, I just took some out of the main can and put it in a little tiny jam jar. You know, it's kind of easier to work with that way. I also went and found me another lighter color to be able to use where I maybe didn't want something quite so dark. But it's the same idea. You know, they're just Minwax polyurethane stains. What I found, since, you know, it is hard to work with the oil-based ones when you're painting, especially if you're going back between water-based and then oil-based. And so I lean more now towards using some of these various shades that I've got here available. And I mean, these are nice ones. The Citadel Games Workshop ones, I mean, I've had some fun with those, and I'm definitely no expert by any means, but I'm having fun, and I'm kind of learning as I go. Let me show you, when I dry brush, I don't actually use, kind of gotten away from using a stark white color. Something like this is your Shappity Bone from Games Workshop in the Citadel line. I like the way that looks, kind of doing a Detroit type dry brush on it. And then, of course, at the very end, if your name is Matt, you got to use matte varnish, right? Anyway, yeah, I mean, this is what I just recently, some of the latest pieces that I finished, to make sure I coat them with that. It kind of helps them to be more durable and whatnot. You can put a spray clear coat on them too, and I've done some of that as well. But I do like this acrylic matte varnish. That's been good to me. So anyway, those are my Soviet painted pieces. Hope you enjoy. Okay, maybe I can tack some of this on at the very end, just so you can maybe see a little better some of the pieces here. Let's see if we can see some of the infantry here. That's pretty good focus shot, I think. Here's some of the white camouflage guys. Here's the artillery. And here's some of the ships. Yeah. I'm taking this with a different camera, and this is a 10-year-old Nikon SLR camera that actually my daughter had used for photography class, and it's kind of fun to learn to use it a little bit. Let's see if we can get that to focus a little better. There we go. I really like these flatbed trucks, how these turned out. I think they're just really fun looking. Those ones are not half bad either. And then as far as planes go, so strategic bombers and tactical bombers and little tiny fighters. So anyway, you get an idea. Hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for watching, guys.